Welcome back. We're so excited that right now, for the first time, we're welcoming Megan. I was going to say Megan. I schooled myself that I was not going to say Megan. It's Megan. Her name is Megan Griffin, and I'm so excited to have her here with us to talk with us about a very exciting project that she's working on. So first of all, Megan, welcome. And then let's start by you telling the folks at home who are watching a little bit about you and the kind of work you do, and then we'll talk about this exciting project. How's that?
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is just such a treat. I am an associate professor of special education and applied behavior analysis at Whitworth University, and I also coordinate our ABA program at Whitworth. And I do all kinds of things. I've done research in ABA, and a lot of my work has also centered around probably some of the most meaningful projects that I've done have centered around listening to the voices of self-advocates and responding to those expressed needs and concerns. And so those have been the most meaningful projects I've worked on is in my time in academia. And I have a new project that I'm really excited to share with your audience.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you for just a second, because even when you started to say, you know, I work in the field, I'm a professor for ABA, you know that the audience went like this, because there are people who love ABA and are all excited about, oh, we have an ABA professional here, and then there are people who don't like ABA and who went, oh, you know, I don't agree with that, and they're very down on ABA. And it's really, there seems like there are two distinct, different stories. I haven't heard a lot of people who are like, oh, ABA, I don't really have an opinion, that know about ABA. So when you reached out to me and said you were working on this project, which you're going to tell people about, I was like, this is great. So tell them what it is that you do and that you're doing.
Yes, well, so it's a really polarizing topic for good reason. And so, you know, essentially the backstory of this study is that I've been in ABA for a while now. And I would say probably for the past 5-ish years, 5, maybe 7 years, I've become increasingly aware of some of the concerns that people have about ABA. Mm-hmm. Because I was trained in this field, I knew a lot of the great stories. Like, for example, Shannon, you've had a great experience, and so you talk pretty openly about that. But I've become aware over the past 5 to 7 years of some of the really hard and challenging experiences some people have had. And that just isn't sitting well with me. And I thought, we need to learn more. We need to do better. And so the best thing that I thought we could do was to actually listen more to the actual clients and consumers of ABA in order to get a better sense of what is working really, really well, you know, for example, in your family, Shannon, but then certain things that have been painful or harmful for certain people within the autism community and the broader community of folks who've received ABA. And I want to hear it all. I want to hear the very, very good to the very, very bad and everything in between. And my goal really is to just help center the voices of consumers in this discussion. Because if you look to the research, a lot of it is driven by the professional voice, and I'm wanting more to bring the consumer voice to the forefront with this study.
So you are hoping to interview pretty much anybody who would like to be interviewed on this subject, but you do have a couple of stipulations that for this particular study, you want to be talking to people who are over the age of 18. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So absolutely. So you do need to be over the age of 18, and you do need to have received ABA services at some point in your past or currently, if that's applicable. And you have to be willing and interested in participating. Anyone who participates will receive a $20 gift card to Target. just to make sure that we're thanking people for their time and participating in that way, kind of donating their expertise in that way. I know that for some people who have had hard experiences, talking about that may not sound very appealing. And I certainly understand that. I don't want anyone to feel re-traumatized. So any questions that I ask, participants are fully able to answer as many or as few of the questions as they want. So it's all, at the discretion of the participant, the level of input they give.
Okay. So, and I hope that everybody hears this and that you spread this information to the people that you know in the community, that if there's somebody you know who has had the experience of going through any amount of ABA, that what Megan is looking to do is to tell all of the stories. So it does not matter whether you are a huge champion or you are somebody who is very staunchly in the category of that this is not okay. I love this, Megan, because I always say if somebody is saying that, it's for a reason. They have something to say. And I love that the ABA community wants to know, so that if there is something, is not just an assumption of, then what the person did has nothing to do with what I do. They're wanting to know what was traumatizing about it, because then it will help to identify if it is in fact something that has nothing to do with ABA, because we all know that there are people out there doing wrong, calling it ABA, but it's not, right? But that in some circumstances, I know, for instance, that Emily Grodin, in the book that she did with her mom, who's an adult now, who was nonverbal at the time, now says, there were two things that I didn't like about ABA. It was boring, and I didn't like that they were in my house. I go around and tell ABA professionals that all the time, because I'm like, that's good information that you should know, right? Don't be boring. And yeah, come on. And that some individuals see their home as a safe place, and they would rather have it at a center or an office, not in their home.
Feedback, and that's the sort of thing that I'm hoping to gather, and I'm hoping to document for our field so we can get better. I'll tell you, I have been lucky enough to be welcomed into different communities like Facebook groups and different places where people kind of freely and honestly air their concerns about ABA. And I've been learning a lot from those folks. But what makes me sad is that not everybody has access to that knowledge. And what I'm hoping to do is document this sort of formally, in the literature, so that we can go forward and say, look, these are the practices that are getting us amazing results, and people are happy with how the goals that we had and the procedures that were used and the outcomes. And then I also want to identify those things that, were harmful, painful, not okay, and make sure that that is broadly getting to practitioners, but also the people who train those practitioners.
I love this. And I know that the question is going to be asked, well, if you're an ABA professional that is, and if you consider yourself not neurodiverse, are you really going to be able to put this information together in a way that's fair? So talk a little bit about, because you're not doing this by yourself.
Yes, I'm not doing this by myself. Really intentionally, I have partnered with this amazing autistic BCBA named Dr. Mari Cerda, and she is just an amazing advocate for ABA consumers and autistic individuals and their rights. And, I also just want to, I've done other studies that are similar to this. So I've gotten a lot of questions about this and sort of where I'm coming from, what my agenda is, what's my positionality, basically. Yeah. And I want to make sure people know, I get a lot of questions about who's funding this, for example. So I want people to know that this was funded by a small grant at Whitworth University. It's not funded by an anti-ABA organization or a pro-ABA organization. This is just a passion project that I've taken on. I applied for some internal funding. I was awarded it. And I'm using it to try to center the voices of people who don't normally get heard in this discussion. So trying to amplify those voices. I also want to say that, I am a person that, although I don't have autism, I have other conditions that are invisible to many people, medical conditions and mental health conditions. And so, although I don't have autism, I want people to know that I'm bringing that to the table as well in terms of trying to be able to be empathetic and trying to bring a diverse team with Dr. Serta as well.
I love this, and I love that you're asking the question, and I also want to say to anybody who is on the fence about this, about reaching out and talking with Megan, that this is a great opportunity. One of the things that I'm fond of saying is that if what we set out to in the beginning was to make sure that you had a way to communicate, then we as a community have to listen to what you say when you communicate, and however you communicate, right? And you guys are, there are many of you who are out there communicating and saying you don't like ABA, and here is a perfect example of somebody who is saying, I'd like to listen. I'd like to listen, and not only that, I'd like to document it so that the world can see a range of stories, and that she'll be talking to people, anybody who wants to talk. So have your voice be heard in this, whatever your story is, whether it's that you like ABA, whether it's that you had a hard time and why you had a hard time. That is important information, and we should all be learning from it. If our hearts are really going to be in the right place, of course we would learn from it. So don't be shy. Where should they go, Megan, if they're like, all right, I'm going to take her up on this, and I want to be interviewed?
So I'm sorry, I'm hearing a little bit of feedback.
You're okay.
I'm going to ask you to put a link in the show notes, if that's okay, that they can click and just take them to an easy way to schedule the interview. Also, if anybody wants any more information, my email address is mgriffin, Griffin, at Whitworth, WHITWORTH.edu. And I would just say, truly, even if you don't want to participate in the study, I would love to hear from you. If you have an opinion you want to share with me, or a concern or a question, I would absolutely love to hear from you. I'm passionate about this and I want to learn. So I just so appreciate the platform and the ability to reach more people with this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Megan. I think this is an important project, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. I think we'll all learn from it. So you'll have to come back when you have your compiled everything.
Will do.
And we will include where to go to be interviewed in the show notes. Megan, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here with us to talk about this. And we'll have to have you come back and talk about other things.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. You have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We're going to be back after these messages. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.